My mic sounds nice. Check one. My mic sounds nice. Check two. My mic sounds nice. Check three. Are you ready? So we're back. We're back. And I'm saying it for the third time because this is episode 3. We're back with the heDONizm podcast. Yes, that's so weird to say because this has been a dream of mine. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine with Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Yes, it was all a dream, but we're here. This is it. This is it. We're here. So thank you. Thank you. And I've already said it before. My numbers are mad low. We'll get there, right? I'm not too much into rushing this to get to the number level of where I need to be, but the metrics and the metrics don't lie. We're mad low on the numbers. So please share with a friend and do me a favor. Lock it in and throw the keyboard away. Throw the mouse away. Just lock it in. My aim is to launch every Wednesday, but more ideal, I'm just giving you fair notice before I put out Media Blast. Thursday will work better for me so that I can give you guys the best content and the best delivery of heDONizm. So for those that are just joining, welcome. I go by the name of Dante, also known as DJ Mechadon, the Don Mecca, but you can also call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Some people call me coach. Some people call me ref. If you know, you know. Guys, I said it before, but I do need to let you guys know this, getting into it. We're in the age of cancel culture. You guys have seen it near and far, and we're judged by the court of public opinion. So just in case I drop a noun, pronoun, an adjective, or even if I drop an expletive out there, don't hold me to it. You guys already know I'm just here to pod, right? So Northerners, I gave you an assignment last pod. It was for you guys to speak to at least 3 individuals, right? I'm talking about that early morning when you got that coffee breath, when you have that morning up north, that up top attitude. You guys' your assignment was to speak to 3 people. How did that work out for you? If you did the assignment and you being honest, right? I said the best thing and your best attire when you come to the heDONizm podcast is to wear your truth. Why? Because it looked good on you. But Northerners, comment down below. Did you do the assignment? Southerners, you're not off the hook either. You guys had an assignment just as well. You guys were supposed to walk past 15 people and not speak to them. Again, Southerners, where you at? Holler at me. Check in. Comment down below and let me know how that worked out for you. As you guys always know, I love to start my day. So why not include it in this pod, the format? I love to start out with gratitude, right? So I'm grateful and I thank God for the ability to have a heart to give. And I'm speaking more about philanthropy, right? I'm involved in several things, and one that I can really stick my chest out in is my ability to officiate, and I'm talking football on a high school level. I mean, it goes hard, right? I had an interest in college ball, and I was putting the work in, but it became something that I didn't want on my short or long-term goals again. But high school is where the action is, and I just love the excitement. I love the ability to give back to some of these kids. Now, do things on and off the field, but as far as the uniform outfit, I am a high school official. So what you see today may not be what you see tomorrow, because I'm not trying to buck the system, but in some standards as a uniform official, we are required to drop the facial hair. So if I come up in here looking like Richard Pryor when he was a private, I don't want no sauce. I'll take the smoke, but I don't want no sauce. Don't y'all be clowning me when you see my beard off the face and I'm looking 16. But, you know, on that note, let me just give a couple of shout outs to some of the officials out there. Let me just give a shout out to GHSA. More selfishly, I want to give a shout out to my organization, GFOA, TSSAA, DCSAA, FHSAA, TASO, HHSAA, to them cats out in Hawaii. You guys doing good work. In place, that being NFH. So shout out to everyone. You guys, all of your associations across the nation, please have a great, safe season and go out with the courage to make those calls and do your very best. And we'll see you guys in the championship, God willing. But on that note, let me just send thoughts and prayers out to Alvis Johnson. He was the first. I'm just dropping a little history when it comes to high school sports. It's big. If you've never researched or thought about officiating, now's the time. It's not a want anymore. It's a need. So in this association, some of the histories go back to the early 1900s. My association in particular goes back to 1926. So it's rare you hear of these leaders, but let me just call out Mr. Johnson, Coach Johnson, that passed. He was 76 when he passed, and he passed back in July, but he was one of the first African Americans to be a president in NFHS, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family during this time. Also, in keeping with the gratitude, guys, I got a chance to meet my soon-to-be nephew. He's from the Yay area. What's up, Yay area? Yay, yay, yay. No, but I'm just clowning a little bit. I got some history up in the Bay or the Yay area, but he came to stay with old Rick James, your boy Uncle Don, and it was good to just have the ability, to share wisdom. As we all know, wisdom is something earned over a period of time that you can knowledge transfer and share. And I feel like knowledge is something that could be purchased and obtained through hours of education. So just my ability to share some wisdom with him was very near and dear, because I mean, he will be taking on my niece Ella in the hand as they take on this thing called life, and she was nothing less of a daughter to me. So let me just pause right here and shout out my baby girl Bird, but Ella, you are as a daughter to me. Let me also shout out to my beautiful 5-star chicks down in Duval. What's up, y'all? Hope everybody's doing well, and you guys please have a great and successful year. I know you all are doing big things. Shout out to you also, Scoop Poot, what's up? Hey, I'm just saying that because I know some people do check in on the pod, and you know, if I have my chance to rock the mic, I just want to show a little gratitude towards them. But also, in keeping with the gratitude, I had the opportunity over the past weekend, and I know you guys are saying, what time do you actually have on a weekend? But I'm stretched, and I'm made to do all of these things, and they always say you'll make time to do the things that you love. But I had the opportunity to throw on something fresh this weekend and go to a little soiree or a little shindig or a gala, if you will. It was absolutely amazing. Shout out to the Jacksons for hosting and putting it on, and shout out to the ladies of T-Neck for actually putting that thing on also. I'm gonna tell you something that was dope. And while I'm there, you know, we all had an opportunity to pass the mic and share a little bit about our history of some of our love languages, right? But as I was going up to take the mic, my man, DJ Clef Style, Kev, what up? But he said, yo, my man, shout out your podcast. And I'm like, nah, we're just going to keep things rolling. He said, nah, go on and do it. So just knowing that, I've said before, my numbers are low, but just knowing that there are certain individuals that are rocking behind you, that's just beautiful to me. I'm not a cloudy, chasey person, but for Clef to just go, hey, yo, spit, holler out your podcast, let the people know, even in that format where I feel there's a time and place for everything, but just the fact that he said, you know, drop a little something on the people and let them know what you got going on. And just listen to this narrative in a sentence, because I said before, it was all a dream. But rest in peace, Nas. Don't die with dreams inside. My man, supposed to be here right by my side. We're supposed to be cooking together, but may your spirit continue to live through me with the creativity and the ideologies that we had together, my brother. Rest well, King. But listen to this for a narrative. Hey, yo, Don, I was listening to your joint as I was leaving the A heading up to Jersey. That touched my heart. Kev, I'll say again, thanks, my man. Shout out to Ness, Elliot Ness. Appreciate you, my man. We got some work coming up. And to the homeboy, Mark. I mentioned these three fellas because these guys are hip-hop to me, although they are my family. But one thing I will say is the beauty in us sharing some of our love languages. These brothers have been down like paid or laid concrete since they were children, and they're still rocking to this day. So it just showed me how hip hop grows and it becomes beautiful, it becomes sexy, it becomes a non-expiring entity of its own. And I just love to see hip hop grow. And just one time for the one time, shout out to Jersey. I dare you guys, as my listeners out there for the heDONizm podcast, I dare you guys to walk in a room and say, yo, Jersey, is Jersey in the house? And watch the response. These guys are everywhere. So again, love, 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 mi familia. And that's who we be. Thanks, family. I love you, and thank you so much for rocking with me. Even the words that you guys say, just when you think no one's paying attention, they are hashtag all in. So again, La Familia, family, thank you so much. And I ain't gonna hold you, but I really and truly thought growing up, parallel with hip hop, right? We talking early 70s to where we just blew out the candles for the 50th birthday for hip hop. I'll be totally transparent and raise my hand and said I was one of those guys, or I was one of those persons that aged with hip hop that said this thing is going to die out, or it's probably going to phase out. This is a fad. Or I was one as a DJ, as a B-boy, to put an age on my contributions to hip hop. No, not so. But it was me actually being Danny Glover when he was on what was that movie? Was it Die Hard? Him and Mel Gibson. I think I got the names right, but if I am, don't hold me to it. You guys know. But when Danny said, I'm getting too old for this, I felt like I was going to be that guy when it came to hip hop and aging in hip hop. I thought some things maybe I would be too old for some of the things, or I thought that hip hop would become one of these things that stayed the same age as we grew out of it. Nah, there's still a demand. There's still a demand. And when there's a demand for supply, people will show up. So what am I referring to? Back in 1973, August 11th, that's just a couple of days after my birthday, right? DJ Kool Herc, one of the godfathers and pioneers of this thing, actually said, hey, yo, let me put these speakers outside, right? Hey, yo, let's make some flyers, and why don't we post these things around Sedgwick Avenue, 1520, and let's get this thing popping, right? And let's do it in the Bronx, right, which is where Sedgwick Avenue is. And I actually had the privilege of being in that area. I'll get to it, but culture phenom, right? How did they know? How did they understand and know that this thing was going to catch on and grow just like the plant that I told you guys about? But y'all know what it is. Now, if it wasn't for the Bronx, I don't know, this rap thing probably never would be going on. But can you imagine? You see a flyer on a telephone pole, and you're like, hey, yo, Kool Herc is throwing a joint, and he's going to be out in the park, right? What are you wearing? I'm wearing corduroys. I'm wearing Lees. I'm getting my Pumas. I'm getting my Tretorns. I'm getting whatever to go rock at this gig, right? I'm going to wear my Lacoste or my Izod, or I'm going to wear, a tracksuit. Hey, I'm going to go grab my mom's chain. I'm going to get a painter's cap. Can you imagine being in that crowd, not knowing that history is being made right before your eyes? I mean, fast forward 50 years later. I mean, this was up in the Bronx. You know what that reminds me of? One, 2, 3, 4. Hit it. Up in the Bronx where the people was fresh. There was one DJ who could pass the test, and now he's down by law and is ready to play. That's right, y'all. His name is AJ. Y'all know what it is. Curtis Blow, Mercury Records, 1984. But again, as I said, August 11th, 1973, culture phenom. Can you imagine what the vibe was, right? Now, I've right, not being from New York, I've lived in New York, right? I used to live in New Rochelle, New Rock City. Shout out to New Rock City, close to Yonkers. But I used to work at Hunts Point, right? Which is probably a 20-minute commute give or take for traffic, right? And for those who know, you know, I mean, you have your boroughs of New York, but you also have what you call Hunts Point. And if you know, you know. And you guys may know, for those who have never visited the Bronx before, you may be able to, and so this is for some of the old heads, right? You may be able to reference some of the old HBO shows with the streetwalkers from Hunts Points. But again, you got certain boroughs, and then you just got Hunts Point, which is an entity of its own. And as a matter of fact, I think it was Soundview. That's where I got my tattoo, my sleeve that was done. It was destined for me to, and I'll be honest, once I got up there, I really didn't want to leave. I felt at home. This was something that I was destined to be around as a child. It was something that I aspired to be around as a child. But again, it was a thing for me to be able to say I'm actually up here near the birthplace of hip hop. So again, fast forward 50 years later, there's a celebration right at the Yankee Stadium, right? And there were some hits, there were some kings and queens who showed up, and you guys know life be life. And I tell you what, had I not had to prioritize my life and how things was going, there's not a shadow of a doubt that I would have been or not have been up at the Yankee Stadium to celebrate hip hop's 50th with the list that they had. I heard, right, that they started somewhere after noon and had guests all the way up till like 1 o'clock at night. I mean, I'll say it again. If I didn't have priorities, I had bigger fish to fry, more things to set my priorities in order with. But I guarantee you, I don't care. Walk, boat, train, plane, you name it, bicycle. I would have made my way to get up there. But it's one thing to do what you want versus things that you need to do. And this was just one I had to take a L sandwich on. But I did see some of the streams. It looked very celebratory. I mean, the only thing that I could not find relevant to some of the origins of hip hop is some of the crowd, right? Not judging, but just looking. Were people just saying I was there, or were they actually hip hop heads that were in the house? But hip hop doesn't have an identity when it comes to how it looks from a crowd participation. You have everyone witnessing and partaking to hip hop, but just to see where hip hop has evolved from, it was just beautiful. And I'll be honest with you, I had a conversation with my cousin Wizzy. Shout out to Wiz. What's up? You know what we got to do, right? I mean, don't just sit there and look. Like, get it together, fam, because you already know. But anyway, I was having a conversation with my cousin Wizzy, and I was talking to him about Notorious, the auto pick about, or the motion picture about Biggie. And I told him at the end of the movie, it got me a little bit, right? I was fairly emotional. And we both shared sentiments of our relationship with certain MCs, his being Pimp C, Chad. They had autonomy. I did not know Notorious. I did not know B.I.G. Rest in peace, Big. I did not know him personally, but as a DJ, when I started to make some money on my own, when I did a gig and I put on a Biggie record, when I put on Dolly My Baby, I had to run that Biggie verse back over and over and over because, it was a thing for Bad Boy. It was almost the look of Bad Boy where you swayed your arm from right to left. It was either So Def or Bad Boy. When them records dropped, people just gravitated to the dance floor and knew it was a party. Biggie was pretty much a soloist. Biggie was a singer. Believe it or not, listen to his cadence. Biggie sung, not saying that he was on key. Biggie had a cadence that was to die for. And Biggie was also a party rocker. I mean, you put a beat on and Biggie would just, I get emotional because, you would have to be behind the decks. You would have to be behind the turntables, the ones and twos, the wheels of steel, to actually be able to identify what certain artists did for you when you put those records on. It's one thing to have talent as a DJ, but it's another thing for that talent to be able to match the input, your ears, and the output, the speakers, to be able to relate from DJ to the crowd and the dance floor what the vibe is. And Biggie, you know, I was in DC, so the vibe was we come to party regardless, but to know that you're rocking with a party rocking a DJ who can put them selectors on one by one and not have an empty or cricket dance floor was just a beautiful thing. Because said to me, he was like, hey, yo, why are you getting so emotional? And I said, I'm thinking about at the end of those gigs when you knew you had a dead stop, right? It was emotional for me that people was like, keep the party going. And this is back when it was not on purpose, but you knew you had to run that record back a couple of times at that gig. So watching the hearse roll Biggie out in New York and to see those people standing on stoops, standing on corners, standing on top of bodega signs, and actually looking at Big roll down the street with Kim, Puff, Miss Wallace, you know, Faith. Seeing all of that, man, it was just like, I felt like I was a part of the growth of Biggie, because when you get distribution and records as a DJ, that's an intimate moment. You're either going to the post office, you're either going to the record store. Shout out to 12-inch Dance Records and DuPont Circle in DC. That was my spot. That was my spot where I used to spend hours in there. And I had records that didn't have labels on them, that were unreleased import joints that I had. And I'm speaking more in particular to Biggie, just because I'm trying to bring the narrative true to life as to how, yes, an artist can make you emotional. But I digress. I digress hard. But it was up in the Bronx, right? And they did several celebrations and several performances, and it was kings and queens all over the place. And it was heavy New York bias, rightfully so. That was the birthplace. Those were some of the original artists that came out with this thing that we call hip hop. Now, rap is debatable before hip hop. That's debatable. We can talk about that another day, or you can go to your local barbershop, or you can get on your threads, or you can get on your socials and have that discussion. Which one came first, rap or hip hop? Some may debate that James Brown was a rapper. But anyway, we're not going to deep dive into that right now. Maybe another day, because I even hear that English majors are now identifying rap as a format or way to write essays. We'll get into that another day. But anyway, it was New York bias. But I will say this, the South showed up. T.I. came out, you know, and he performed like the T.I. we know. You know, he performed like he was an 18-year-old rubber band man. He came out and did his thizzle. And T.I., we love that smoke. I love how people underestimate you and you hit them in the head with the dictionary. But at the same time, when they know what it is for the South, you went up to New York. This is a place where you went from MC to comedian, right? And you got eggs thrown in your face. You got tomatoes thrown in your face. And you turned right around with courage. And you went out on that stage and said it with your chest. I'm here to do something different. I got the records. You know, I got a little bread. I want to do something to make me happy. At this point in time of our lives, coming through the pandemic and dealing with what we was dealing with, T.I., you came with that thunder, with the comedy, good, bad, or indifferent. Even when you got booed, my man, I salute and tip my hat to you, because you came right back the next day and said, I got it. I'm going to hit him in the head with this one. And you got a round of applause. New York showed you love less than 24 hours from the time you got booed. Now, bring that thing full circle to the celebratory delivery that you had at the festival. Fam, I saw you bopping around that stage like you was Rubber Band Man. I'll say that again. Side note, I got a chance to meet T.I. face to face, and the cat had a camp. And this was back in Rubber Band Man when I was actually helping family do some promotion. So we was picking T.I. up to go take him to a gig. And let me just tell you that the guy brings an aura with him when it comes to Southern hip hop that is just unmatched. When he performs, he goes in. The West Coast represented it well as well. You know, shout out to Cube. Shout out to Snoop D-O Double. They both brought it down. But close to the night, and I'm talking the next day, if you will, and I heard it was somewhere near 1 to 2 a.m. The kings of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must use fire, and I won't stop rocking till I retire. Well, here's the part that makes me go, oh, I wish I was there. Allegedly, this was Run DMC's last performance. I'm hoping that's true because they've done enough for us to not only give them their flowers, to give them their props, and also I'm pretty sure they've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But you guys have done your contributions. You know, shout out to Run DMC, rest in peace, JMJ. You will forever be in our hearts. DJs, lift your needles one time for JMJ. I heard y'all out there, though. Y'all was killing old Rev. Rev is out there cussing. Rev is out there dropping expletives. Let me just say this side note, okay? I'll come back to this. When it comes to reverends and pastors, I kind of prefer them to be somewhat like me, and that's flawed. And if you really have a problem with their delivery, if you really have the problem with their persona, why don't you take time to go meet them? Why don't you schedule special time to go meet with that pastor, that bishop, or that reverend and see what they're really about? Now, there's some dodos out there. I ain't going to hold you. Y'all already know that. But I mean for those that are actually trying to do something, and I don't know the depth of Rev Run's ministry, but I do know he was doing like social media ministry, but I think he was also doing some encouragement to like the community. So I'm not here to judge. You guys already know what and how I feel about the court of public opinion. So let's come off of that. But you guys were killing old Rev out there. And let me just say this. I wish y'all would, in my final performance, judge me, just in case I decide to give you guys Joe, Def Jam, Rush. What? If I come out there and I'm delivering and I'm in my bag and y'all want to come around and kill me on social, listen, it was something about the breath control of Run DMC. We can all look, and aesthetically, they're not the same guys they used to be, right? But one thing I can say is for these dudes, when Daryl and Joe actually did the Peter Piper bit that they did right before they led into the song Peter Piper, I was like, okay, not only does this show what it is to perform, these dudes are up there when it comes to age. They're not old, but they are up there, right? Looking great for what it's worth. And then to have all the breath control and be able to perform outside. Shout out to Run DMC. Y'all are the kings of rock, and that's just what it is. But let me just get in my Kanye for a minute, right? I remember, and we're talking about hip hop just for a little bit, right? No particular way I want to go with this, but just rock with me for a second. I remember one time I was in trouble, right? Let me get in my Kanye bag for a second. I was in trouble, and we called it grounded. And my mother hit me. She hit me with the 2-piece, right? And I couldn't even get Johnny Cochran to get me off of this sentence because I can't remember what it was about. But disrespect was disrespect back in the day, and you took your L sandwich when you caught an L. So I had to eat crow on this one. But my mom hit me with a 2-piece, and it was no phone and no going out to the teen club. So shout out to Hot Throb. For those that know, it was a safe space. It was a place where we can go. It was a place where we can go as teens, but we can also get our dance on. And it was a free place. I mean, the parents dropped their kids off, and it was mall, it was movies, Fountain Square, yo. But it was so much to do during that time when we were around the Hard Throb. I was also slotted and hand-selected for a live television taping, Catch 22, right? I was scheduled for a taping to be submitted to what was the MTV show called? But anyway, they were going to take a segment of our dance slot from different cities, and they were going to insert it in the MTV Dance Club MTV, that's what it was called. But Downtown Julie Brown, how did I forget Bob? And also Fat Five Freddy was on there as well. But they were going to take bits from that insert and actually insert it into Club MTV. And I was on punishment. I was grounded. Let me just let you guys know how vested I was into hip hop. And I'm talking about the aspect of being a B-boy. The DJ came, the DJ in me came, but originally coming into hip hop, I didn't really have the skills to MC naturally, but I knew I could write some things and get at it, but nothing to be competitive or a battle rapper. Even from a DJ aspect, I've never considered myself a battle DJ. I've always considered myself, and I hate that bartenders took this phrase, but mixologist when it comes to party rocking. I'm the guy on top of the speaker, getting a party crunk, but I'm also an MC as well. That's an art and a skill set for a DJ to actually be able to MC at the same time. It's a skill set to be able to hear two different songs in each ear and blend them to a masterful blend. I should actually be called Mix Master Mechadon, or I should be called Grandmaster Mechadon, just because I have really mastered the art of mixing and BPMs. Not too much on me, but I'm just sharing with you guys some of the craft of where I were. The DJing came later, but the B-boy in me, right? I was actually dancing for well-reputable artists and even some famous signed artists, and was trying to get signed as a dancer on my own, because back in the day when you were a dancer, you could actually get signed to an artist. And don't forget now, back in the 80s, early 80s to late 80s, dancers used to actually tour. Tours were popping. Like, you had outdoor amphitheaters, you had concert halls, you had all types of places for artists to go and share or give their contributions to their community for their talents, right? If that makes any sense. I'm trying to draw a picture because it's almost unheard of now. You either get festivals or you get a hodgepodge of artists from back in the day, and they make one show, where sometimes you only have one artist and an opener who you never knew, or this opener was local. But nonetheless, I would hit the stage. You know, I've seen the stage, I've seen the lights. Not too much on me. I'm not saying I was the best, but I was dedicated to my craft. I was committed to my craft. When others didn't believe in the journey that I was heading down with my craft, I believed in me. And I said it before in one of my pods, but I bet on me. You know, when others don't believe in you, note to self for you guys out there, to me as well, even in modern day, when you have people out there who are doubting you, or those that don't have much belief in you, always believe in yourself. And that's something I had. I've dreamed big. I dreamed big. And this was something that I really and truly saw. God gave me a vision that actually, you know, I don't want to reference this guy just because of how wonky his path has went. But I saw myself like two individuals before I saw those two individuals. One being Flex. I think he had a show 101. But the other was Will Smith, right? Again, can't take the MC aspect, but just like Crisscross, Jermaine Dupri's artists, they really didn't have rapping skills, but they were prepped and they were taught, and they actually learned how to rap, whether it was written by a ghostwriter, which is a known thing. That's nothing to be ashamed of. If you're a reputable, well, lucrative artist, that's really nothing to be ashamed of. But when it comes to style of rap, being top 5, that comes into play. We'll get to that another day. But I actually saw myself like Flex and also Will Smith. The trajectory that these guys had to actually go Hollywood, I saw it. I rehearsed in front of mirrors. Just like ladies, you got that brush and you got in front of the mirror and you sung. Or you took that doll and you recreated the fashion and said, I'm going to be a fashion designer. I too dreamed big on that level, but I actually saw it. Like, I could actually walk through it and tell you the steps that were needed for me to be in that level of success. So again, not too much on me, but that's how much I was invested in and dedicated myself to the craft. Where am I going, right? So my mom had already hit me with the 2-piece. I was on punishment. I was grounded. And I was scheduled to dance for this live taping. Yeah, y'all gonna kill me in the comments. I already see it. But I lied so it was awful. Rest in peace, Michael Harris, right? We had a group called Brothers of Soul. For you guys that know. What up, Wiz? You knew it was coming, fam. Um, but we we were them dudes, right? Not too much on us, but Mike had a car, and Mike said, "Man, I'm coming to get you." Right? He hit me on the landline. Y'all don't know nothing about that, but Mike called me and said, "Hey, yo, do what you got to do. We going to this taping." So I told my mom we were going to Bible study. Rest in peace, Mom. Oh my goodness. Told my mom we were going to Bible study because I knew that's probably the only thing that could get me out the house. Didn't have Johnny Cochran on speed dial or written down in a black book. So I had to think of something to get out the house. I needed to make this event. I needed to do it and lie. Oh my goodness, I didn't feel so bad now for telling those little lies. So I told my mom I was going to Bible study, and yeah, I came back at a decent time because it was a scheduled and structured taping. Got back home, and I can't remember what it was, but my aunts were there with my mother. And you know how sisters are. You know, they can have 5 different conversations, or at least my mother and my aunts. They can have 5 or 6 different conversations at one time. So as masterful as women are, right? Men, sometimes we think we are smarter than women, but we can actually miss the mark. Here's where I missed the mark. I said I was going to Bible study, right? And in addition to that, I get back home. And oh Lord, this is just bringing back memories. I need a fan and some water. Y'all just give me a minute. Lord have mercy. I get back home, and my mom goes, "Well, how was, with that Claire Huxtable look in her face? So how was Bible study? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Did Michael go with you? Yeah, we did. And I'm trying not to say much, but my mom, with that soft, sweet interrogation, was like, And how did it go? And did you see any of your friends there? And I'm like, yeah, it was a youth night. And oh my gosh, it was a youth night. And we were just, meeting up with certain people. And I tell you, it was really good. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. She said, well, come in here. We've been having a problem. Some of you guys are not going to be able to relate to this, but check it. We've been having a problem with the VCR, video cassette recorder, for those that don't know. We've been having a problem with the VCR, and we want to know if you can get it to work for us. We've been trying to play this tape. Right, and can't get it to work. And I was the technician in the house, right? I was the fix-it guy when it came to all things engineering and technology, if you will. Oh Lord! So I go over there and I just did one thing, and I knew I could fix it with ease. And I'm like, bop, bop, bop. And then she said, well, play it because you can just play it for us. So, oh my goodness, I hit the play button, and I did not know that the taping was going to be live. I didn't know the taping was going to be live, and for whatever reason, you remember when you had core channels, maybe 3 different channels, your ABC, CBS, and NBC? Well, you also had that auxiliary channel. I think later on it became UPN or WB or something like that. I think that's the show that the Wayans brothers had in Living Color on, that expanded channel. You know, the networks that they used all the black people to grow their worth and then cut the black people. Y'all know them. But anyway, I digress. I played that and saw it on the TV, and I'm like, oh wow, this is just, I can't get out of this. I can't get out of this. But I said all that to say that it was my love for hip hop. But my question to you guys is, when did you fall in love with hip hop? I just gave you a whole soliloquy about things that I did to sacrifice my level of efforts for hip hop, as if it meant anything. I mean, I just felt that I was destined for it. My father was a DJ. My uncle was a DJ and radio personality. My cousins were DJs and MCs. My cousins today, younger cousins, are DJs and MCs. Some of those cousins that I referenced are still DJs, not so much the MC piece. My friends are DJs. It's like wherever I go, a DJ is there. But when my cousins was living with us, they had enough analog equipment to set up, from speakers, turntables, mixers, flyers, and you name it, all things to get ready for a gig. Mobile DJ is what I'm talking about, because you went to a gig with nothing but plugs and you brought everything with you. But I just so happened to ask my cousin, Troy, a.k.a. DJ Ice, could I help? And he didn't hesitate. He said, okay, here you go. And I just got some notes to keep me on track here. He said, take all of these records, wipe them down, Then I want you to go around the neighborhood, right? And I want you to look near trash cans, and I want you to look for any and all crates you can find. Crates. You mean crate? Milk crates. Oh, okay. From when they delivered the milk. Okay. And juice. Okay, I got you. So I do that. And he was like, hold on. When you finish, I want you to come back and I want you to spray paint those crates black. Because don't stop right there. When you finish, I want you to put the records in the crates. As you put each record in the crate, I want you to look at the label, right, what a little hole is. He said, and I want you to look on there, and I want you to find the BPM. And I want you to write the BPM on the outside of the sleeve of the record. For those that don't know, you put the record in a sleeve. Some sleeves were white. Some sleeves had art on them. And back in the day before Sharpies, they were called magic markers. He said, take this magic marker and put the BPM on the actual sleeve I wanted to match. You got me? Mind blown. And I'm sitting here doing all of this and didn't realize that this was OJT, live OJT out there. But was a slight age difference between myself and my cousin. So when he was gig ready, I couldn't go. I couldn't roll with them to the spots. So me, sad. No, not even sad, mad. Scorched earth, because I knew I had this hip hop in me, right? And I knew he was going to be the DJ, and I could just go along dancing, getting the crowd hype and whatnot. Young guy, couldn't go. But of course, I got on the rinse and repeat on the organizational skills and the post-party breakdown, the reorganizing, the refiling of the records, putting everything back in order, wrapping cables, stacking speakers. See, back in the day, you had a subwoofer, and you had a mid, and you had a tweeter. Had to rewrap all of those. And they used to put them in comforters and sheets and everything and pillowcases to keep them from messing up. One little ounce and move with all those soldering kits and everything. I never learned all of that, you know, but they had them. Because, you know, if you bump that speaker, or if you know, when carrying that speaker to the gig, you can actually set off the mechanics on the inside. Now, it was one of those things where I couldn't go, but yet the yearning and the desire in me pushed me more towards the DJ aspect, right? So before that, and this is all about the love of it, right? Now, before there was MTV, BET, VH1, YouTube, Yo MTV Raps, and BET's The Basement. In the meantime, since I couldn't go out, I had to tune in. I had to engage with hip hop. And let me just say this. This may explain some things about me that a lot of you didn't know. I was locked in. There was nothing else I wanted to do. Let me be clear. I was athletic. I could shoot ball. I could run the rock. Not too much on me, but every time I touched the rock, I made it to the line again. I made a first down. I made a touchdown. I was running people over. I was knocking people out. I could play almost every position on the field. But I was so into my vision, locked in, lockstep with hip hop. Hip hop was here, moving, marching to that pace. And I was steadily walking alongside, trying to jump in like double dutch. When is it my time? It's when it's up, it's up. That's what I was saying, right? But before all of those things that I just mentioned, the BETs, the VH1, Video Hits 1, just in case you guys didn't know. But before all those streaming and platforms that we have today, we have Friday night videos. They played approximately 15% soul songs, but maybe 5 to 3%, maybe even less of those on hip hop. And when I say Friday night videos, this was a Friday night slot that came on between 7 and 8 Eastern, 7 Central, somewhere around there, maybe even later. And it could have been more so 9 o'clock afterwards, the news or whatever the case was, before TV went off. Y'all wouldn't know anything about that. I think TV was on 24 rotation at that time. I could have it wrong, but don't hold me, y'all. I'm just here to pod. But this was there was something else that was going on. You remember I told you about those extended channels? Well, they kind of had frequency channels also, right? You could flip the knob for those of you who had a knob, and for those of you like us that didn't have a knob, maybe you had those wire pliers. But y'all know, if you know, you know. Old school cats out there rock with me, right? We're not old. We're just old school. So when it came to those auxiliary channels, I'm just going to use that for the sake of narrative. you often found one of those frequencies that gave you a picture, right? You know, it was either snow or a channel, right? So we click, 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 click. Oh, snap. I hear somebody narrating. And you got these corny commercials, but yet it was this cycle. And this was like telecommunication that met innovation. And what I'm talking about, y'all, is the box. Or the video jukebox. It was also known as the video jukebox. This was some innovative stuff, mind-blowing. But for some odd reason, we would tune in. I don't know if you guys' household was like mine, but it was highly discouraged to watch commercials, infomercials, and also things like the box, the video jukebox, which would encourage you to do what? Y'all say it. Yes, hit that 1-800 or that 900 number. You knew the 1-800 numbers, you could probably get away with toll free. For the landline folks, bop, brr, bop, brr, bop, brr, bop, or the do. But I'm talking about the 900 numbers. And this show, or this station, if you will, right? This station had a snippet of a video. And a snippet of the video had the pound or the actual number. When you dial the 900 number, you would hit this pound number, and then you can select the video. So it's almost like a special request live, but via telephone. It was some innovative stuff. So that's how we got our videos then, and they still were coming in slow. Other than that, it was black market as to how videos were getting out to people. You either had to know someone that had a 8mm, or you had to know someone that had a, this is right on the brink of Betamax, right? I know I'm talking over some of you guys' heads, but this can be nostalgic for some of you guys. But rock with me for your old school lovers out there. You had to know somebody that knew somebody. And if you knew somebody that had cable, everybody was over their house. Matter of fact, the OGs was splicing cable, sending it to the, I'm getting too deep into old school, but I'm just bringing back some memories that I know y'all know. But this thing, the video jukebox, right, was mind-blowing, and that's how we got caught up on our videos. And you had to have a landline to get that thing going. But I'm talking about the love of hip-hop. When did you fall in love with it, right? But for me, it was all of those things that I just mentioned. But it was this one thing that blew my mind, and I knew it was up. It was something about this motion picture. I'm using old school terms. And that's for the old school heads. Y'all see what I did there? Motion picture. Called movies, right? But this movie was called Beat Street. Oh my gosh. Beat Street. Now that was Wild Style. It was cute. But Beat Street was raw to me. This is somewhat subjective, but I think the proof is out there. BEAT Street. Oh my gosh. Soon as the movie come on, boom, 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 boom. Give it up to me, baby, do the Beat Street strut. Give it up, ooh, ooh. Oh my gosh. I remember it like yesterday. And it was so dope. It was like, you know, you had the MGM, the little line, rah, you know, he does this thing before the movie starts, right? And then you know, you saw these little stars glaring. I think it was Orion or I think I got that right. I can't remember. But the first two things you heard was a sample from a train. And the next sound you heard was scratching. And I was like, okay, what? I've never watched the movie. You know, this is when we had Jaws, Star Wars, King Kong. They were the blockbusters back then. So to put movies in rotation and actually go to a theater, and these weren't the joints connected on to nothing. These were standalone theaters. Cinemas is what they used to call them back in the day, but not even one bar of the movie fading in from black. You got scratching and a train sample and all of that. But it was something about this joint that really put me in the path of the look-see feel, right? I couldn't hold myself. I really couldn't hold myself. And when the movie came on, the first scene, the first cinematography that they gave, right? There's so much thing to speak to New York and hip-hop at the time that New York was starting to catch its own image. For those that don't know, some of the look of hip-hop in the early days were transitional from disco, that being your raccoon hats, your roach clip in the ears, right? the blinged out belts with the leotards and the Cavaricci style pants, the muscle shirts with the dress shirts and the skinny tie underneath. A lot of that was transitional from the disco look because you had to look the part to get into the disco, right? And some of the rappers were derivatives from the disco that came into the hip hop world. Shout out to the DJs. They kind of helped pave that or help bridge that gap as to how some of that was. But when hip hop started to get his own identity, you saw the painter's hat, the all weather tracksuits, and the thick socks and the ski goggles. Listen, I was getting clowned for walking around looking like I was ready to battle. You know, I was the guy that was going around begging people for cardboard. I was the guy begging people for the kitchen linoleum or the bathroom linoleum so that I can have it, roll it out, and backspin and break dance on that joint. God gave me a vision even before these things were shown to me. Like I saw him, and then when I saw him, I'm like, okay, he's real, right? And secondly, I can see myself doing this. The two were actually aligning. But the first scene of the movie paints a narrative that hip-hop was determined to hip-hop. And it was about love, peace, unity, and having fun. And this movie ought to explain about that. Now, before you go out looking for a blockbuster, a multi-million-dollar budget, this movie was raw, right? It was shot with raw camera footage, but it wasn't the shaky and stable and all of that. They actually had production budget. And they came and gave a narrative that, I mean, in today's time, you may see it as corny, but to me, it was one of those heartfelt movies. And I saw myself as many characters in the movie, but I could mostly identify with Lee. Hence, my relationship with my cousin Troy, DJ Ice, when it came to him going and doing gigs, but me being the young lad or the young buck that couldn't go rock with him. Shout out to the skating rings. Couldn't get in. Couldn't go with him on those nights. I couldn't go in. But I was the underdog. I wanted to smoke from Big Bro, right? And in this movie, Big Bro was Double K. Wow. And Double K, and even in the first parts of the movie, Double K was going out to do a gig. And this was his 9 to 5, I assume. The movie didn't give the backstory, but this was his 9 to 5. Satchel bag, records. And back in the day, you didn't have multiple crates. You got a couple of records because you was doing break beats. You was bringing break beats. You was like, you know, you had a portion of the record, but you was running it back and forth so cats could either rap, sing, or break dance to those breaks. Double K goes out, and this is just me, y'all. This is my opinion. And this goes down in hip-hop history books as probably one of the best freaking sound checks ever done. Testing. 1, 2, 3. It's working. It's working. Party people, if you're ready to rock, let me hear you scream. And if you're really ready to party, then let me hear everybody say, we came to party. We came to party. Everybody put your hands together like this. Come on, clap. Everybody clap. Now here's a funky beat. Boom. I just said he was DJing. You heard somebody singing. When I saw that this guy could walk and chew gum, I knew right then, right there, that I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be a b-boy. I wanted to be a graph writer. I wanted to DJ, and I also wanted to MC. Now, MC can be used in many different facets. But a DJ that MCs also could be the microphone controller, the the master of ceremony, or like Eric B. and Rakim said, means that you're moving the crowd. But you can do it with your voice. In this case, Double K was using his voice to actually rock the crowd. He had people on the dance floor with just saying, everybody come on, put your hands together and clap. Let me hear you clap. Bop. Now here's a funky beat. Boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat. Now here's a scratch beat. Scratch, scratch, skip, scratch, scratch. Now put it all together and make it complete. Break, 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 break. He's doing all of this without the aid of you go to some gigs now. I want no sauce. I don't want no sauce when I say this. But you go to some gigs and a DJ can't DJ without a separate guy rocking the mic. Old Mechadon, that's tenant for me. That's fundamental basis for me. And for those that have rocked with me, you know I bring the energy. Not too much on me, but all I'm saying is that's part of the things that I invested in as a DJ. It was the look, see, feel, right? So with that same breath, that was just one of my favorites, y'all. As you can see, it was one that I take to heart, that I love. Probably try to watch it occasionally, more so towards Christmas, because it was around that setting of the movie. But let me ask y'all a question, right? What was your first hip-hop record? I would say CD, but we're talking old school. For me, my mother had a Kraft work record, Trans Europe Express, right? I played the hell out of that that record. I played it so much on the radio that it had to be a point where I got the record and I started to scratch with it. And yes, here again, I got in trouble for trying to scratch on a Kraftwerk record. Y'all remember it had the little gold train with the not the silhouette, but the shape of the members of the group. It was one. If I can find that record today, if anybody's out there listening and you got that Kraftwerk record, holla at your boy. I have one, but it's not Trans Europe Express. I need that joint. For anybody out there, calling all cars. Anybody be on the lookout for that Trans Europe Express car. I need it. APB, All Points Bulletin. I need that record. But another one of the first ones I purchased, as you can see over my right shoulder, your left, is LL Cool J Radio. There was two records that actually did it for me. LL Cool J's Radio and Tila Rock, It's Yours. These two records changed my life. Radio was a way of life for us. Kept a lot of us from getting in trouble. Kept a lot of us from doing things back in the day like joyriding, going places we shouldn't. There were master blasters, the boom box. We would walk around the neighborhood with it. Some of our parents hated it. But when I heard that record, it was actually describing what I wanted to put over my shoulders and walk down the street with. Radio, produced by Rick Rubin, Def Jam at the time, and Jazzy J. You guys may remember this from Crush Groove. When they were working, at the time I think it was called Rush Records, but it was actually Def Jam. A little backstory or narrative on Def Jam and the small business to the big mogul business, Def Jam. But when they was actually done taking auditions, LL Cool J comes in there with Cut Creator and Bobcat. LL's got the blue Kango on and the blue Lacoste shirt on. And he walks up to, I think it was Jam Master Jay. Jam Master Jay, rest in peace. He goes in the starter jacket and whatnot, and he's reaching like he's going to get the heat. And he was like, hey, yo, we told you no more auditions anymore. What are you doing? And LL goes, box. And they dropped the beat, and it was an incredible scene. If you get a chance, go look at that scene on YouTube or go actually watch Crush Groove when LL came in. LL came in and did radio and just blew my mind, but also him as an MC. LL goes in that GOAT conversation with me. LL's got lyrical skills. And a lot of people don't know this, but LL was a B-boy kind of before he became an MC. If you look at some of LL's videos like Jingling Baby and Phenomenon, and if you look at some of his live performances, you'll see how LL gets around. That's the B-boy in him. But LL don't get it twisted, was a B-boy, and LL liked to get down. He likes to get busy on the dance floor. I ain't gonna hold you, but the man, look at the I'm Bad video. Look at how agile LL was. Back in the video. Go check those two out. But the other one, and I promise I'm out of here, Tila Rock, 1988. This song to this day is like ministry to me, right? Some people just see hip hop as rap and crap. I had friends who was in there, Ozzy Osbourne and Kiss and all of those things growing up, and they used to say rap was crap, right? Because all they heard was rhythmic flows and melodic flows through rappers, and they just couldn't understand the gibberish the jungle music, as they used to call it. They didn't understand. But it was something about this song. Shout out to my man Duke. What up, Duke? We used to listen to this song on our boom boxes. The two kind of go hand in hand. But the song It's Yours is actually something that I wish people would go listen to today. Especially when you're not being your most authentic self to yourself. Please go listen to Tila Rock. It's Yours. Another Def Jam artist. Just some of the lyrics. Commentating, illustrating, descriptive giving, adjective expert, analyzing, summarizing, musical myth, seeking people of the universe. It's yours. And the chorus goes, do you like it? Do you want it? And if you had it, would you flaunt it? Well, it's yours. Another verse. I'm going to leave you all alone. Sound plus rhythm done up with finesse is equivalent to the adjectives best. Now is the time to introduce neo rhymes combined with the grooves with juice. Dance to the musical tune on the microphone, gonna make you swoon. TLAROCK. Usually the reason for a very nice day. I came here to represent the ultimate act, which only occurs when the party is packed. So full of endurance for your insurance. Everything's fixed. Just listen to the mix. Tila Rock, 1988. When did you guys fall in love with hip hop? I would love to know. Comment down below. Comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Guys, I get so excited doing this, I actually lose track of time. But I just want to take a moment and be selfish and just tell you guys thank you for rocking with me. Hey, I would be remiss if I didn't thank you guys just for rocking with me. Some of you guys have done personal things out there to actually advertise and spread the word. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys know me. If I don't get but one view, I'm happy, right? There becomes a point, there comes a point in life where you want to leave something, right? This is one of those things for me. But I'm not just doing it for hobby. I would like to see this thing grow. Hip-hop won't always be the avenue and way of conversation. I'm really doing this at this particular time as my appreciation and my love for hip-hop. Hip-hop, you've provided so many jobs. You've provided so many avenues. And for a guy like me, who was raised in and around the crack era during Reaganomics, hip-hop was something that I leaned to. And there was so much around me, and there were so many choices that I could have made. But I decided to use my feet. I decided to get my boogie on. I decided to get in my b-boy stand. I decided to battle rock. I decided to DJ. I decided to make people happy by way of music, dance selections, dope tracks, dope blends, hot BPMs that match. That was my contribution to hip hop, and have actually been on stage with some of the greats. Hip hop, I appreciate you. Guys, that's my time. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the heDONizm podcast. Be sure to subscribe, and be sure to comment down below. I know you guys got thoughts. I want to hear from them. It costs nothing to hit that like button, so do your boy a favor. Please click it. You guys always know we're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. Y'all know I try to be careful, but in case I drop one, don't hold me to it. Y'all know what it is. I'm just here to pod. Be easy, y'all. We'll talk to you next time. And hey, stay tuned for the podcast moving to Thursdays. God bless.